Okay, so let's start today with a bit of a scenario. Just, picture this. You wake up, you drag yourself out of bed.
Get the commute.
Yeah, you hit the commute. You deal with the boss, the bills, the endless notifications on your phone.
Mhm.
And underneath all of that noise, there is this hum.
Right, this constant background static.
Exactly, this low-level signal in the back of your brain that just says, I want to be free.
It's the universal drive, honestly. I mean, it is the engine of human civilization.
It really is.
Right.
And here's the problem, and it's a big one. We usually think freedom is a destination.
A place you arrive at.
Yeah. We think it's, a number in a bank account, or it's retirement, or finally getting out of a bad relationship. We think if I just get there, then I'll be free.
Right.
But the source material we are deep diving into today, which, by the way, is this pretty radical text on human evolution called the Gene Keys. It says we have got it all completely wrong.
Completely wrong. In fact, the source argues that what we're actually chasing isn't freedom at all.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. It argues that biologically, genetically, even we are addicted to the exact opposite. We are addicted to suffering.
Okay, that is a massive claim. You're telling me that while I'm, complaining about my workload or my stress, I'm actually enjoying it.
Well, enjoying might be the wrong word. Depending on it is a lot closer.
Depending on it.
Yeah. It's a paradox, and
Yeah.
it is highly uncomfortable to look at. But when you peel back the layers of the 55th gene key, which is our focus today, it starts to make a disturbing amount of sense.
So let's set the stage for everyone listening right now. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling the 55th gene key.
A huge topic.
It really is. Now, I know the term gene keys might sound a bit like, I don't know, sci-fi or some intense esoteric theory, so maybe we should ground that first.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Essentially, we're looking at a system that maps human potential.
Think that as a mix of the I Ching, astrology, and genetics all rolled into this big map of consciousness.
Right. It is a framework. And the basic idea is that inside your DNA, there are these keys, or archetypes. And each key has a low frequency, which the system calls a shadow, and a high frequency, called a gift.
And usually, from what I understand, the path is pretty linear. You work on your shadow, you process your trauma, and you unlock the gift, like climbing a ladder.
Exactly. It's a progression. But the 55th is different. The source calls this one the joker in the pack.
The joker in the pack, I love that phrasing.
Yeah, this is where the system completely breaks its own rules. The 55th gene key isn't about self-improvement. It isn't about, getting a little bit better every day.
Right.
It's about a mutation, a complete radical shift in what it literally means to be a human being.
A mutation. Okay, so our mission today for you listening is to figure out what this mutation actually looks like. We need to understand why the source says we are all playing the victim, even when we think we're the hero of the story.
Especially then.
Right. And we need to figure out how we get to this state of true freedom. And just a quick warning to you listening right now, this gets a little paradoxical. You might feel a little busy by the end of this.
But that's good. That means it's working.
Yeah.
You really can't understand freedom with logic alone.
Well, we're going to try to hack our way in anyway. Let's start at the bottom. The shadow state of this key is called victimization.
Yes.
Now, when I hear the word victim, I think of a specific event, a crime, a car accident, a layoff. Something bad happens to you. But the source is using this word very differently, isn't it?
Very differently. In the context of the gene keys, victimization isn't an event. It's not something that happens to you on a Tuesday at 4 p.m.
Okay, then what is it?
It's a frequency field. It is the actual atmosphere we live inside. The force argues that the human ego, by its very design, creates a sense of separation.
Me in here, the world out there.
Exactly. And the moment you feel separate from the world, you feel vulnerable. You inherently feel like life is happening to you.
So it's not about having a bad day. It's about the fundamental stance you take toward the bad day. It's that attitude that says, why is the universe doing this to me?
Spot on. And here is the core mechanic that really blew my mind when I first read this material. The source says this shadow state runs entirely on external validation.
Which, again, sounds like social media, right? Like my photo, tell me I'm pretty, tell me I'm smart.
It definitely includes that, but we have to go much, much deeper. The source defines external validation in a really radical way. It says it is the need to know that you exist.
Whoa, okay, hang on, let's unpack that. The need to know that you exist. Are you saying we create drama in our lives just to prove that we are real?
That is exactly the argument.
That's wild.
Think about it. If everything in your life was perfectly smooth, no conflict, no complaints, no enemies, no struggle, no looming deadlines, what happens to your story? What happens to the character of you?
Well, it kind of evaporates. I mean, there's nothing to talk about at a dinner party.
And that is absolutely terrifying to the ego.
Hmm.
The source puts it quite bluntly. It says, if you aren't suffering, you have nothing to hold on to.
Wow.
Without its problems, the ego feels like an empty shell. So we cling to victimization because it gives us solidity. I am the person who is stressed. I am the person who is treated unfairly by my boss.
It gives you a boundary. It makes you feel solid.
Yes, it proves you were there.
That is incredibly dark, actually. It implies that we are actively self-sabotaging our own happiness just to feel solid. Like we would rather be miserable and real than happy and what?
Transparent.
Precisely. We prefer the devil we know, which is suffering, to the vast, quiet unknown of silence. And the source actually breaks us down into two behaviors or dynamics of how we play this game every single day.
Right, the repressive nature and the reactive nature.
Let's unpack those, because I have a feeling everyone listening, and us included, will identify with one of these immediately.
Oh, for sure. So the repressive nature is complaining inwardly.
This is the person who feels like the weight of the entire world is on their shoulders, but they don't say a word. It's a deep pessimism, a low-level hum of, why is this happening to me, or it's never going to work out anyway.
You become a victim of your own thoughts.
The silent martyr, the person who is just seething while doing the dishes.
Exactly. You implode. And then, on the other side, you have the reactive nature. This is complaining outwardly. This is pure blame.
It's the government, it's my boss, it's the economy, it's my spouse.
Right. It's taking that internal discomfort and projecting it onto something else. And it feels better in the moment because you're discharging the energy, right? You're letting it out.
But there's a catch.
A huge catch. The source says both of these are traps.
Yeah.
Whether you bottle it up and implode or explode it out onto someone else, you are doing the exact same thing. You are validating the existence of the victim.
You are keeping the story alive.
Yes. Because if I blame you for my unhappiness, I'm solidifying the idea that I am the one being harmed. I am reinforcing the gap between us. I am proving that I exist as the sufferer.
You're reinforcing the walls of your own prison.
Beautifully put. And that's exactly why this is called the shadow. It's a closed loop. As long as you are reacting inwardly or outwardly, you are stuck in the frequency of victimization.
Okay, so if we are all trapped in this loop of validating our own existence through struggle, how do we get out? Because this is where that Joker concept comes in, right? Because normally in these self-help systems or esoteric maps, there's a method. There's step 1, step 2, and then boom, freedom.
Yes. And this is where the 55th gene key gets really weird. It completely laughs at your steps.
The source mentions that usually in this system, there's a ladder. You go from the shadow to the gift to the city, which is like the highest, most divine state of a key.
Right, a 3-step process.
But for the 55th, that structure is totally broken.
It is deeply unique. It is the only key out of all 64 that has no middle ground. There are only 2 words associated with it. Victimization and freedom. It's binary. It is a total flip.
But why? Why no steps? That seems almost unfair to us down here trying to figure it out.
Because you can't work your way to freedom. You can't earn it through a 10-step program. The source actually compares this key to the state of radioactive elements right before an atomic explosion.
That's a very vivid image. Not exactly peace and love.
No, it's not meant to be. It's meant to convey intense instability. When this energy starts to move in a person, or even in humanity collectively, it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm getting better at coping with my stress.
What does it feel like?
It feels like you're falling apart.
Yeah.
It feels like a quantum leap. The source says this is a genetic mutation that is literally happening to humanity right now. We are moving from a solar plexus awareness, which is emotional, turbulent, very wave-like, to something else entirely.
So it's not just change your mindset and think positive. It's more like your entire operating system is crashing so it can install a new one.
And the crash is the important part. The source says you simply cannot approach this key linearly. You can't use logic to figure it out.
Because logic is part of the old system.
Exactly. Logic is a tool of the victim. Logic says, if I do A, B, and C, I will control the outcome, and I will be free. But that is control. And control is the exact opposite of freedom.
This is starting to sound like a massive trap. If I try to fix my life, I'm a victim because I'm trying to control it. If I don't try to fix my life, I'm still stuck in the mess. It feels like an impossible riddle.
Welcome to the 55th gene key. That frustration you're feeling right now, that is the ego hitting the glass wall. It can't think its way out. The source actually says that every single shadow in the entire 64-key system is ultimately just a disguise for this one.
Explain that. That is a really big statement.
We'll take the shadow of complexity, for example. We all feel that, right? Overwhelmed by data, schedules, details.
Constantly. I feel like my calendar's eating me alive most days.
Right. So the source asks, what is really happening there? You are being a victim of complexity.
Oh, I see.
Or take the shadow of force. You are a victim of the need to force things to happen. At the absolute bottom of every single struggle in your life, there is this one core hidden belief. I am powerless against this.
So the 55th isn't just one slice of the pie. It's the crust. It's the pan. It's holding the entire thing together.
It is the root. And the only way to pull that root is to stop playing the game entirely. Which brings us to the gift state. Freedom.
But we really need to define this carefully, because if I tell you listening right now, hey, true freedom has absolutely nothing to do with your bank account or your job or your bad relationship, you might just turn off the deep dive.
Right, because it sounds dismissive.
Exactly. We live in the real world. We have rent to pay, mortgages. Freedom in our culture usually means having options.
We do have rent to pay.
Yeah.
And it's important that the source doesn't deny the reality of the material world, but it makes a very sharp distinction between liberty and freedom.
Okay, what's the difference?
Liberty is political. It's financial. It's the ability to move about as you please. But freedom, with a capital F, is an existential state. You can have all the money in the world, be sitting on a massive yacht in the Mediterranean, and still be an absolute prisoner of your own anxiety.
True. We see that all the time with highly successful people.
You can be a victim of your own wealth.
Yeah.
So the definition given here for true freedom is simply freedom from suffering. And the sensation the source describes is feeling lighter than air.
Lighter than air. I mean, that sounds nice.
It sounds nice on paper, but practically, it's actually terrifying.
Terrifying. Why?
Because of gravity. Our identities, our egos, they have gravity. They have weight. The source quotes the poet Rilke here, and it's a great line. Every angel is terrifying.
I have always loved that line, but I never really understood it until reading the source material.
Yeah.
Why is the angel terrifying in this specific context?
Because to the identity, the ego that has spent 30, 40, 50 years building itself up through struggle, through stories, through battles and opinions, true freedom looks exactly like death.
Because it's empty.
Yes, it looks like total emptiness.
Because if I'm not fighting and I'm not winning and I'm not losing, who am I?
Exactly. The source quotes Oscar Wilde to hammer this home.
Yeah.
If there's one thing worse than being talked about, it's not being talked about.
Yeah.
The ego wants to be noticed. It needs to be noticed. Even if the narrative is, oh, look how much that guy is suffering, at least he's the protagonist of the story. At least he matters.
Right. Look how hard I work. Look how stressed I am. We treat it like a badge of honor. We wear our exhaustion like a trophy to show everyone we exist.
But freedom doesn't care. True freedom has zero agenda. It doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't need to be validated by anyone. It has no gravity whatsoever.
And that indifference is what terrifies the ego.
Absolutely terrifying to the parts of us that crave connection through trauma and drama. We bond over our misery, don't we? Freedom completely breaks that bond.
So the path then isn't learning more strategies to cope with our stress. It's actually unlearning. It's dropping the act.
It's a complete stripping away.
Okay, so let's try to get practical here, or at least as practical as we can get with something this profoundly abstract. If we can't try to be free, because trying is just another form of struggle and control, what do we actually do?
This brings us to a really beautiful concept the source mentions. Wu-wei.
Yes, the Taoist concept.
Now wait, before everyone listening thinks we're telling them to just quit their jobs, lie on the couch, and do absolutely nothing, let's clarify this. The source is very clear that this does not mean physical inactivity.
Right. It's often mistranslated as doing nothing, which sounds lazy in English. It doesn't mean you stop washing the dishes or paying your taxes or going to work.
Exactly. It means doing nothing inside the doing.
Okay, help me with that distinction. Doing nothing inside the doing.
It means you remove the internal resistance, you remove the pusher, you stop adding your own mental commentary to reality as it's happening.
So if I'm washing the dishes, I'm just washing the dishes. I'm not standing there thinking, I hate these dishes. Why doesn't my partner ever help? This is so unfair. I'm wasting my evening.
Exactly. That commentary. That is the victim. That is the shadow trying to prove it exists by fighting reality. When you drop that commentary, you are just washing dishes, warm water, soap, plates. And there is a profound freedom in that simplicity.
It's just what's happening.
Yes. And the source uses a really beautiful metaphor here about romance to explain how we approach this state.
Yeah, I really like this part. It describes freedom as a feminine spirit.
Right. It says you cannot come at freedom like a battering ram. You can't demand it to show up. You can't conquer it through sheer force of will.
Which is so counterintuitive to how we usually solve problems in our modern world. We want to attack the problem. I am unhappy, therefore I will fix it by doing X, Y, and Z.
And the Joker laughs at that. Because the very moment you try to fix yourself, you are reaffirming the core belief that you are broken. You are right back in the trap. You are back in the shadow.
So if we can't conquer it, how do we approach it?
The source says you have to court it. You have to serenade it. You have to create the space and allow it to unveil itself to you on its own terms.
So instead of fixing and forcing, we are supposed to just drift.
The source uses the exact word drift, yes. It describes this massive transition in a human life from seeking form, which is desperate, heavy, full of agendas, future-focused, to drifting.
What does drifting look like?
Drifting is where you become an audience to your own fate. You watch the movie of your life unfold with curiosity, rather than trying to grab the steering wheel every 2 seconds to avoid a pothole.
Now, that seems very peaceful, but also, let's be honest, passivity is a dirty word in our culture. We are taught to be go-getters to make things happen. Does drifting mean we lose our free will?
This is the big debate. And the source answers this with a parable that I think really nails the difference between our usual way of thinking and this new Joker perspective. It's the story of the bus.
This story. It's a tough one. I remember reading it in the source material and thinking, wait, is this right?
It challenges everything we think about morality and action. So let's lay it out. Imagine 2 men standing by the side of a busy road. Man A believes entirely in free will. He thinks he is the captain of his soul, the master of his fate.
He believes his choices matter.
Completely. Now, man B believes entirely in God's will or destiny or the universe, whatever you want to call it. He thinks he's just a puppet playing a predetermined role.
Okay. Total opposite worldviews. The doer and the observer.
Exactly. And then a tragedy strikes. A third man steps off the curb, walks into the street, and gets hit by a bus. Right in front of both of them.
A sudden, massive crisis.
No, man A, the free will guy, immediately rushes into the street to help. He's calling 911, he's trying to do CPR, and because he believes in free will, he feels the entire weight of the situation.
He feels responsible.
Deeply responsible. If the man dies, man A feels he failed to save him. He takes the suffering of the event onto himself.
He's taking the burden. He is acting as the hero of the story.
Right. Now, man B, the destiny guy, he does absolutely nothing. He just stands there. He believes it was God's will that the man was hit by the bus, and it is God's will that he is simply standing there watching it happen.
He takes no action.
None. He believes it's all fate, so it's not his problem.
No, I think most people listening would immediately say man A is the good guy, the moral guy, and man B is a monster. Or at least totally checked out of reality.
In a standard moral societal sense, yes, absolutely. We prefer man A. We want man A in our society. But the source asks a completely different question. It doesn't ask who is good. It asks who is free.
And the answer?
Neither.
Neither is free.
Neither of them is free. Man A is a complete slave to his sense of responsibility. He is trapped in the drama of I must fix this. He is suffering deeply because of the accident. Man B is a slave to his dogma. He is trapped in a rigid mental concept of fate.
Wow.
Both of them are reacting to their own internal programming. Both of them are entangled in the event, just in different ways.
So what would the truly free person do in that situation? Is there a man and C?
The source says freedom is knowing that at the absolute highest level, there is no right and no wrong. The free person might rush into the street to help, or they might stand completely still.
But the action doesn't matter.
The external action isn't the point. Whatever they do, it arises spontaneously from the present moment, not from a preconceived story about who they are. They aren't rushing in to prove they are a hero, and they aren't holding back to prove they are holy. They are just responding.
That is incredibly subtle. It's really all about the internal attachment to the outcome.
Yes. It's about not taking the hit personally. It's about moving out of the drama triangle entirely. And this leads to the final and perhaps most advanced practical application the source mentions, taking the suffering inside.
Yes, let's talk about this, because when I read this, it sounded almost like a magic trick. What does it actually mean to take the suffering inside?
Well, usually when we feel pain or we see pain in the world, we immediately deflect it. We lash out, we complain, we blame, or we urgently try to fix it externally. That creates a ripple effect.
It creates karma.
Exactly. You yell at me, I get stressed, and yell at my kids yell at each other. The wheel just keeps spinning.
We're constantly passing the hot potato of suffering to someone else.
That's a great way to put it. The Thor suggests that instead of reacting and passing the potato, we act like a vacuum cleaner.
The vacuum cleaner.
We draw the suffering in. We let the feeling of the pain, the anger, the grief enter us. But, and this is the crucial part, instead of attaching a story to it, like this is bad, this is unfair, I can't handle this, we just feel it.
We just let it be a sensation in the body.
Yes. We accept it. We digest it.
We stop the echo.
We stop the echo. And the source claims that when you do this, when you truly stop resisting the pain and just let it pass through your system without grabbing onto it, it transmutes.
It changes.
It turns into that lighter-than-air feeling we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You aren't carrying the residue of the event anymore. You aren't creating a rigid victim identity around the pain.
It connects right back to that idea of transparency we discussed. If you are transparent, the light goes right through you. If you are solid, if you have a big, heavy ego built on opinions and grievances, the light hits you and creates a dark shadow.
That's it. That is the ultimate metaphor of the 55th gene key. You become completely transparent to the suffering of the world. You feel it all deeply, but you hold on to none of it.
It has been a seriously wild ride today looking at this 55th gene key. We started with this really confronting idea that we are addicted to our own victimhood because it validates our existence. It proves we are here.
Yeah.
We move through the concept of the Joker, which tells us we can't use our standard logic or 10-step programs to escape the trap. And we landed on this beautiful, challenging concept of wu-wei, doing nothing inside the doing, not pushing against the river of your own life.
It is a profound path. It's moving from the heavy, crushing weight of victimhood, all those exhausting agendas, opinions, and blame, to the absolute lightness of flight. You have to remember the trick. You can't make it happen. You can only relax, be patient, and let nature take its course within you. If you try to force yourself to be free, you already lost it. You've just become another victim of your own spiritual ambition.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to carry with you today. And it's a provocative one, based on everything we've just uncovered.
If you look honestly at the areas of your life where you are the most unhappy, the relationships, the jobs, the situations you complain about the very most, ask yourself this: are you actually keeping that unhappiness alive just to feel like you have a solid identity?
And what would happen? What would truly happen if you simply stopped trying to fix it?
That is the scary question.
It really is. That's the deep dive for today. Thanks so much for listening.